On today's episode of Wrong Side, I am back. Michael and I hit it hard as a loser podcast. The panic button has been hit for the Bears and Cowboys. A deep dive into our teams specifically and not every single game of NFL and college. A quick review about what we've been up to. Been a couple weeks since we've been together. Our clutch moment of the week, sponsored by Shore Metals, and our usual outside the line. In a world full of champions, we find ourselves on the
Back Wrong Siders. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Today is September 25th, 2024, episode 27, coming to you live from Wrong Side Studios. We're welcoming back Joey. Took a week off. Jake, shout out Jake Sharber for subbing in last week. Great bench move. Had to go to the bench, get someone. He subbed in well. But now Joey's back. The two guys, Michael and Joey, back here together. Joey, how you been? What you been up to? What's new?
Life's been good, been pretty busy. Shout out Jake, first of all, did us proud. Happy to have my job back after a week off. Kid killed it out there. But I'm back, happy to be back. Feels good to be back with you. It's been the only other time in the last like months that I've taken a 2 week break, so it feels weird. The reason for my break was my grandfather unfortunately passed away. For those of you that know us and know me, he had been battling dementia and Alzheimer's for the better part of a couple of years now. Had moved into a memory care facility this year. Took a turn the other week and passed away. Very close with him growing up. Shout out the big guy upstairs. It was a beautiful weekend celebrating him. Sucks, but think we made him proud. So it was a sad weekend, but it was a good weekend seeing family, stuff like that. Other than that, been slammed at work, unfortunately. Been kind of going through the ringer, no lie. But I did have a job interview, an internal job move at CDW, which is the most progress I've made in looking for a new job since I've started. So that was pretty interesting.
There you go. How was that? How was that like set up? Was it weird kind of like interviewing within a company? I feel like people don't really try to do that. They kind of move branches or they move companies. Was it a different feeling? Do other people in the company know that you interviewed for a different spot to a potential different move? Like what was the dynamic of that?
That part was the most awkward part. So to put the whole weekend into context, I got Friday and Monday off for like the funeral proceedings and everything. Like Thursday afternoon before I logged off, my boss was like, "Hey, like we need to talk about some stuff." And I've been busy with like actual work, so I thought it was just something like that. And I was like, "Hey, like I'm gonna work Monday. When I get back, let's like put a meeting on the calendar for then." I meet with him on Monday. It's obviously been a long weekend. Talking about just like normal stuff, training coming up, like end of the quarter, all this BS. He's like, "Okay, like you got anything else we need to talk about?" I'm like, "No, not really." And he's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, I'm like, "What?" And he brought it up, but was waiting for me to bring it up, my manager, that is, about the new
Mm.
job. So that was a pretty awkward conversation. But at the end of the day, he kind of asked me like, "What are you thinking? Like, why are you moving?" And I'm like, "To be honest with you, I like the job. I'm really just looking for like something more in person, a little more exciting because I'm younger and really like kind of a group of younger people or people who like are in the office and like kind of want to get active and get around." And he was like, "Honestly, I respect that a lot. Like, I see that for you as well. Like, I know you didn't study this in college. You're 23. Like, this is what you should be doing." So he was very supportive, but
Okay, that's
bringing it up
good.
was kind of awkward. Um, so yeah, bringing it up was kind of awkward, but the conversation overall was pretty good. No one else knows. I got this one guy, this senior guy that I work with all the time. Shout out Paul. He doesn't know yet. My heart's racing trying to think of when I'm going to tell him if I get the job. I think the interview went really well, so we'll see in the next couple of weeks if I get this job. Um, but it was weird. The interview setup was nice. I had like been networking with some other people at the company, so I had talked to the hiring manager before the interview. So we just kind of talked. Her son goes to Michigan, unfortunately, so we did bond about that for a little bit. I think it
Mm.
was a good way in, but I'm like, damn, I kind of hate her now. But she went to Wisconsin, talked ball a little bit, had to walk the fine
Big
line to
Ten
not dive
company.
in too deeply. Yeah, so overall was solid.
Love that. Do you think Okay, that's good. Yeah, I feel like kind of at our age, like I understand, we all talk about like maybe not being in person every day, but being in person a lot more, being around people as younger than us. I know for me, when I got on our new client a couple months ago, like it was just kind of nice. It's a public client, it's a big public client. It's kind of a little more work, but from the aspect of
Mhm.
like being around people that were like in the 23 to 27 range, like not sitting at home every day, like there are a lot of benefits for that, I think. And like we're going to the
Yeah.
office tomorrow and we're going to do a happy hour with the client. So like we have that on our schedule and like just kind of being more involved versus like being on teams that were all over the West Coast and like you never
Yeah.
see each other, which is kind of tough. But okay, very exciting. Look, seems like it was kind of like a positive post funeral, obviously for your grandpa. Like super sad, but you know everything went well. You said it was a great celebration, and everyone had some great stories. That's always great, and like you know, you always want a good turnout and stuff at your funeral. My mom always said, and it sounded like it was great
Yeah.
turnout of family and
There
friends,
was.
like
Mhm.
a good moment for everyone to have. So like that was great. And then
Yeah.
on top of that, like now kind of back in it, back to work, doing the regular things, like just getting back to everyday life. And uh, unfortunately, we're here now sitting 1-2. I know we're going to dive into the
Yep.
NFL, but what were some thoughts you had just outside of the Bears and Cowboys? I know Joey mentioned today we're not going to do all the games, but some like just regular wins, losses, winners and losers, basically from the league.
Yeah, I think the biggest winner lately is the Patriots. Not the best team.
Okay.
Don't have pretty much any expectations going into the season, but we'll talk about this a little more. But just quarterback play, and it feels like offense in general is very, very down this year. Defenses have figured it out.
Yeah,
Quarterback
very.
quarterback play is bad. Rookie quarterback play is bad. But the Patriots, I don't know if you know or if you're familiar with them over the last 10 years, have been pretty fucking
I am
good. Six
familiar.
rings with Tom
Yeah.
Brady. Tom Brady famously came in relief of Drew Bledsoe from injury, had been sitting in backup, wasn't a very high draft pick.
I
What
know
are
the
the
guy.
Patriots doing now? Yeah, yes. Um, different story. 9/11 caused Tom Brady, but that's another story.
Yes, it
Um,
is. That's facts. That's facts.
okay, we got it. I got to tell this real quick. 9/11 pushed the NFL season and rescheduled the Jets Patriots game that Drew Bledsoe got hurt in. And if it was a normal week and everyone was kind of like doing their thing and 9/11 didn't happen, Bledsoe might have not gotten hurt and Tom Brady might not have gotten in. So thanks 9/11 for Tom Brady.
And on September 10th, if you didn't know this, the New York game goes to overtime. That day, they said after everything had settled, the dust had settled in New York, a lot of people were late or didn't go into work because the game went to overtime. They missed the train on the way home, didn't get home till late, called in sick the next day. A lot of people say the New York overtime game the night before saved their life. Another fun
That's
fact. I
actually
mean,
insane.
not fun,
I did not know that.
you know.
Quick 9/11 history lesson. The Patriots
Yeah.
are not starting their rookie quarterback, Drake May. Jacoby Brissett, who I think has been one of the better backups in the NFL over the last handful of years, has been basically playing and taking a beating behind a not very talented team, not very talented O line. The Patriots, being a great organization and still having a great coaching staff, are still pulling out a couple wins and being competitive here and there. Unlike the Bears, which we'll get into. Drake May is getting 30% of the first team reps in practice, and they're waiting for him to be good. Reports out of camp are still saying he's the guy. He looks great, but don't shell shock your rookie quarterback. It has been a big problem around the league lately, specifically for the Bears. And who knows, maybe Drake May is on his way to 6 more rings. That's my biggest winner of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mentality of the Patriots is great still. I think they still have Jerod Mayo like as the coach. Like he kind of still has some Belichick influence there. I don't obviously I'm not saying he's anywhere near Belichick, nor is he nor or Andy has a long way to go to get to Belichick status 100%.
Yeah.
But that being said, I feel like I mean, I'm not pro sitting your I'm not pro sitting what's his name like sitting a rookie quarterback if they don't need it. If you know a situation occurs where it's like Dak, where like he came in, he was a fourth round pick, and Roma was hurt, etc., and kind of stepped in that way. That's one thing. But
Right.
Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, a lot of guys kind of succeed sitting in the back, and it's worked, and it allows you to keep building. And honestly, it even so much helps you in the future because you can suck for another year. Along with that, you can keep getting draft picks. It's very rare that like it's like Mahomes, where Mahomes did sit his rookie year behind Alex Smith, but that being said, after he sat, it's not like he was sitting for Alex Smith and Alex Smith they were a bad team. They went to the divisional round that year. They were a good
Right.
team.
Yeah.
They had weapons. So that's a different story. But you have teams like that stink for a year and they rest their quarterback. They get another piece the next year. And that's kind of where it hits. And I think Drake May, he definitely got an early wake-up call to the NFL that first drive. And the Jets were even hurt that drive to begin with, and they were up big, so they weren't even playing all their guys. But
Yeah.
definitely pro Drake May. I will say that. In other news of rookie quarterbacks, second-year quarterbacks, I think that leads me to my issue for the weekend, was Carolina. Felt really bad for Bryce Young. Felt really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen for him. It just kind of sucks because it's tough because it's a tough league where that's the situation where one guy can step in. We saw it with the Niners. They had Jimmy G. They drafted
Yep.
Trey Lance. Trey Lance goes down and Brock Purdy's the guy, and it's tough to go away from Brock Purdy when he's throwing well and playing well. On Bryce's hand, I think he's in trouble a little because of how well Andy Dalton played, which I will give Andy Dalton his flowers basically and say that he's the first quarterback this season to prove how bad quarterbacks have been doing. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was crazy this week. So Andy Dalton does that. But someone made a really good point, and they were like, Andy Dalton was in the peak of like awful, or like not awful, but like scary, tough AFC North football. The Steelers were hunting for heads. The Ravens were great. The Browns had years where they weren't actually that bad. Andy Dalton's been through that ringer. So a bad O-line to him, I think, doesn't scare him. He's played behind a bad O-line a good amount of his career.
Well, first I want to say one thing. You're 100% right, but the Carolina offense has moved into number 2 in the league in pass block efficiency. I've really been taking a deep dive into O-line for obvious reasons. But Carolina's I totally get what you're saying and I agree, but Carolina's O-line is actually pretty damn good. But yeah, Andy Dalton looked great. Bryce Young, I hope he's not dead. I don't think he's tradable right now, but he's got a long way to go. Like long way to go.
I think it shows how bad that organization is. You can say whatever you want about the Bears and be like, oh, it's the same situation. That's one thing, but not many Bears quarterbacks are leaving Chicago and like dominating anywhere else. It doesn't really happen. Fields is 3-0. Fields is 3-0, whatever. But like, he's not throwing for 400 yards. He's not in the mix for like an MVP or comeback player of the year. This is the first time an ex-Bears quarterback has left and had some success. And I think if he doesn't go to Mike Tomlin, it's a different story. 100%.
100%.
But like you see like Darnold succeeding in Minnesota. You see with Kevin O'Connell. You see Baker succeeding after he was in Carolina. Like, I think it's just a hell there. I don't think it's a good spot. I think Bryce is running for his life still. I don't think they still played well. I just think it's tough. We'll talk about it more with the Bears, obviously, but I think the best part when Dak was a rookie, and people might call me crazy, but everyone thinks the Cowboys were so good the year before. They went 4-12 the year before.
Damn.
They weren't good with the same team except for Dak and Zeke. But the problem with the compliment to Dak, I'll give him, or not to Dak, just the Cowboys. They went about 5, and I say this every year, and everyone hates it, but it's not sexy, but it's so good. Build your line, help your quarterback. And they had a line that was built to go when Dak got there. Carolina destroying their O-line, trading away CMC, trading away Brian Burge, trading away DJ Moore, doing all of that, you're putting him in a hellhole. There was never a chance he was going to succeed there. So I do feel for Bryce. I think we're going to see Bryce again this season, but I don't think it's going to be for a couple weeks. I think Andy's going to be the guy for a little.
100%. With the Andy Dalton revenge game incoming with me in attendance at Soldier Field in 2 weeks, it's going to be tough, but I think you're exactly right. They put him in one of the worst spots imaginable. The DJ Moore trade is one of the worst in the history of sports. Andy Dalton has the benefit of just being there before. Like if you were like Bryce started 10 steps back. So I really do feel bad for him. It's a tough league. Don't give up your job. You might never get it back, but I hope to see him somewhere better.
The bright side for Bryce is that it's not the bright side for Bryce is it's not like he was replaced with someone like Brock Purdy, who's like also young guy, like has a chance to kind of be this guy if he plays a lot better. Like it's Andy Dalton. He's on his way out. Like he's probably going to have 1, maybe 2 more years left. Like, so like that's a good situation. Now, am I worried that if they stink, they draft a new quarterback? Yes, 100%. I am very worried for that. I
But
am
that's just
worried for
because they're
that.
stupid, right? Is that because of
Very
Bryce, you
stupid.
think, or just because they're
Very
dumb?
stupid. It'd be either because they're
Yeah,
dumb. It kind of, I
yeah,
mean, it's worked out better, obviously, but kind of in that same situation of like the Cardinals drafted Josh Rosen and drafted Kyler Murray the next year.
yeah.
So like a situation like that, like would be detrimental to Bryce, but an older guy, I think doesn't matter.
That's fair. That's a good point.
Other than that, outside the league, my other takeaways from this weekend were the Chargers collapsed, injuries happened, the Chargers
That
chargered,
sucked.
so that does
Yeah,
suck. But so that was that game. They're 2-1 now. Herbert's banged up, Alt's banged up, Slater's banged up, Joey Bosa got hurt. I mean, just brutal week for them in Pittsburgh. But my main takeaway outside of that was: is anybody good? Is anybody good? Outside of Kansas City being 3-0, I know the Vikings are 3-0. Right now, the Bills won again today, so they're 3-0. But is anybody good? Um, I don't know really what to say. A lot of good teams, the Niners, the Cowboys, teams that were supposed to be really good coming into the year are 1-2. Then you have the Ravens who are 1-2, who they've had some close losses, but they're still 1-2. The Bengals are currently losing. The game's about to be over. They're going to be 0-3. Is anybody good? And it's tough to say because you even have like the Eagles and the Saints, who the Eagles are 2-1, the Saints are 2-1, and the Saints look like the old Saints this week against Philly versus how they did against Dallas. And Philly didn't even look good. They kind of like lucked into that
no.
win,
Mhm.
15-12. It wasn't really a crazy win. They kind of just prayed that Jalen's turnovers weren't going to hurt them. But I don't know. Is anybody good? Are we on a crash course, fast pace to Kansas City three-peating?
I fear that we are. I think if you can't beat them, join them. I will be investing in the future of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But I don't think anybody's good. I don't really know what happened, and those who I have been talking to say it's kind of been in the works for years. Defense is up, like we talked about. All offense, quarterback play is down. Andy Dalton this week with the first 300-yard, 3-touchdown game of the year. Mel Kiper last week said he wants to ban the too high safety, which is just the
That
most
was
ridiculous thing.
crazy. That
It
was one
made
of
me
the
so
craziest
angry.
things I've ever heard.
It made me so angry. Like actually
Let's
the dumbest
let's
thing I've
let's
ever heard.
let's handicap the defense again.
Yeah.
Like
What
the
else is
defense
new?
is already screwed. Like
Don't even mention the refs going on this year. I think the officiating has been poor over the last couple of years and is even more so the case now. They need to throw these flags because the defense has started to win the game. The defense is making tackles, so they call these ticky tack pass interference calls. The
didn't
roughing the
call it last
passer is
night.
absolutely ridiculous. Didn't call it last night. Should have called it against the Chiefs. Chiefs are I hate it. Caleb Williams never gets roughing the passer. Everyone lands on the little guy, and I feel bad for him. Defense is better. Defense is better.
A
You're
little
getting these
guy.
more like you're getting these more like hybrid corner linebacker safeties that are big enough to cover these big receivers. Defense is faster. Offense is getting there. If you don't have an elite coach, you're not good. Quarterback play, you need to do what the Chiefs did last year, do dink and dunk down the field, like truly know the quarterback position. I don't trust Lamar to win a Super Bowl. Anthony Richardson looked horrible. Like the alien in the NFL, I don't think is just going to win you the game at the end of the day. So everyone's in these rock fights because the defense is so good. Josh Allen might be the fine line between alien and quarterback to win a Super Bowl, but I think there's a very, very short list of quarterbacks that can win a Super Bowl in the league right now. And I think Aaron Rodgers is one of the
100.
top ones still at his age.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I've given Josh Allen his fair share of criticism over the years. He's looked great this year. But that being said, what I've said along with Josh Allen, I've kind of been on that like Josh Dak kind of like obviously a conversation. But the problem
Sneaky
is with
take.
Josh, with the problem is with Josh is he has done nothing so far this season that has maybe say, oh man, like he's that great. He does this every year. That's why they're the
Agreed.
AFC Cowboys. That's why he's AFC Dak because I know he's good from now till January. And I can't control the NFL draft. I can't control where Mahomes goes. I can't control that they're going to play each other every year. Should
Yeah.
we say Peyton Manning is better than Tom Brady? Should we say that because they were always playing together? Because guess what? Through 9 years, Manning had only been knocked out by Brady once in the first 9 years. So it wasn't like he was getting
Really?
knocked out every single week. Yeah. So there's that from Manning. Along with that, Allen's been great. He looks good. The Bills look good. But again, Bills come into a nice, tough stretch coming up. I think they have Houston. I think they have Baltimore. They have some games. Haven't really played anybody of significance. Arizona gave them a little trouble that first week,
Yeah.
but pulled away at the end. But I truly don't know. I don't know who's good. I don't know who's bad. we're about to get into Bears and Cowboys, but at the end of the day, like there's bad teams and who's good. Like, the Commanders just beat Cincinnati. They're 2-1, but like they haven't really looked that good. Is Cincinnati bad? Is Cincinnati
Yeah,
that bad? Or is Washington that good? It comes down to those kind of things. So we're gonna see how the rest of the season shakes out. Still early, obviously, for the good teams, not the Cowboys, but we'll see how the rest of the season shakes out. And it's gonna be maybe like a bit different parity league, like
I don't like it.
going into
I don't like it.
the playoffs. I would say I don't expect it to be like no Mahomes and no Josh Allen or no Lamar or no Stafford. I don't expect I expect it to even out in that sense, but I think you're going to see a lot of different teams in that like 5 to 7 wild card spot for both leagues. So
That's a
that's
really
my
good point.
take on the
That's a
league.
fair point.
But I
I
don't think
like
it's
it.
like I'm not saying like oh like someone's going to like I don't know, like someone's gonna be like better than the Chiefs, or like someone's gonna like beat the AFC West. Cause like I don't think anybody's gonna win the AFC West except for the Chiefs. Like I still don't.
Yeah, 100%.
But like
100%.
we'll see how the Niners recap because the Niners are very banged up. They have no CMC, they have no Debo, they have no I saw today I want to say it's Hargrave, their D tackle. He tore his pec. He's
Yeah.
out for the year.
Hmm.
So he's out now. So like Hafunga's coming back. They're very banged up. So like who knows? Like maybe Seattle keeps rolling for a little week and a little more time and can extend that gap. They're 3-0. Seattle's 3-0. So we'll see. I mean, it's a very parity league right now outside of the Chiefs, but it's
Yeah.
definitely going to be something to watch, and we'll have to keep analyzing as the year goes on.
And as you said, we don't even think the Chiefs have played their best game yet. They've kind of
100%.
slugged their way
100%.
or
I don't
refed their
agree.
way or lucked
Yeah,
their way into every single win they've had. So the Chiefs being the best team and not even being that good is terrifying in a lot of ways.
definitely. Agreed.
Shall we get into it?
We shall.
Who's first?
What would you prefer? You can pick.
I want to go first.
You won the coin toss. Would you defer or take the ball?
I want the ball.
Okay.
I'm panicked in the worst ways possible. The Bears lose to the Colts. Anthony Richardson is bad at quarterback. Our elite defense, I'm not questioning them, but I have questions.
Okay.
Caleb Williams is great. I believe in Caleb Williams. The organization and the coaching staff are in the exact same spot they've been for the last 5 years. We thought it was different. We thought Poles was the guy. He's looking valuable now. We thought bringing in Kevin Warren was going to change things. We retained Eberflus as we're drafting Caleb Williams and hire Shane Waldron. We thought there was a change coming, and it is so apparent there is not. A new offensive coordinator in week 3 with a rookie quarterback. I'm going to give a hair of the benefit of the doubt. But some of the play calling, similar to what we've seen the last 2 years with Luke Getsy, it's a brand new offensive coordinator, and we look exactly the same. I think our first play from scrimmage was a screen to Gerald Everett. The infamous 4th and goal call on the 1-inch yard line, speed option with Caleb Williams, where 3 or 4 of your linemen, as soon as the ball is snapped, are face down looking at the defense, is abysmal. The play calling is extremely questionable. I think DeAndre Swift is getting misused heavily. Everyone, similar to the Cowboys in recent history, everyone running the ball looks great behind that offensive line. When they're running the ball, they get away from the run and get themselves in trouble. Completely different story. DeAndre Swift was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. The Eagles run a lot of power. They run a lot of pulling guards. DeAndre Swift is at his best catching screens on the outside. We have run left and run right. Every once in a while, we run the ball to the outside. It makes no sense. Our scheme doesn't fit DeAndre Swift. We've paid him, and last week goes to show how every other running back is way better than him on the roster. And again, week 3, I want to take a hair of a breath on this, but the personnel is heavily misused. Cole Kmet got his flowers this week, which I'll give him. He's adjusted for.
He played well.
The play calling is bad. Played well, but wasn't getting any snaps the first couple weeks. The O-line is still bad. We didn't improve the O-line. We got all these fancy new weapons. Our O-line is bad. Like you said, build the line. Like CJ Stroud had an O-line he came in behind of. Bryce Young had a bad O-line. Look what happened to him. Like we're in a very delicate spot and didn't change the things that matter. We have a new quarterback who I believe in, Caleb Williams. He's the best chance we've ever had at quarterback, but we are still the Chicago Bears, and we're going to fuck it up and fire the O-line coach who is also the run game coordinator because all we have is run left and run right, and we don't do anything creative. I think that's it.
I think that's very valid. I think it's It's very tough to watch. As a pseudo Bears fan, now I'm watching this week, and for the first half of the game, I will say I thought it was some of the worst football I've ever seen played. Both
It's
sides,
gross.
awful
Yeah.
football.
Oh,
So far, I mean, I don't care what anybody says. AR is the 99-cent version of Josh Allen, maybe. He
oh
tries
my
to
God, not
power with
even.
his body. He has like a crazy body. What I was texting Tanner, who's a big Colts fan this week, and I was telling him, I was like, it seems like Anthony Richardson can make the Steph Curry deep threes, but he can't make the Shaq dunks inside the paint. Because they had some
It's
times
valid.
where guys were wide open in the flat. Guys were wide open on a screen, a slant. He was missing them by 30 feet, like hucking the ball in the air. So I couldn't believe that from the Colts side of the ball. But Colts won, obviously. Jonathan Taylor's back. The O-line looks like it's rolling well. What's crazy to me, though, because yeah, obviously the line was bad for the Bears, but I really wanted to see it this week. The Colts had been gashed through 2 weeks on the ground. I figured,
Yes.
okay, maybe this was a get right week for the O line. Let's see how they play. And it sure as hell was not. They were getting beat
No.
up. They were getting thrown around. They had some bad holding calls. It was not good. It showed that yeah, the Colts might not have the best D line, but the Bears have a really bad O line. So
Really bad.
that's one thing. Another point of it, I will say, Rome finally looked like he kind of came into his own. Weird interception on that second one because just kind of happened, dropped, poked
Sucks.
away.
Yeah.
Happens, sucks. Like that happens. Those pick happen, especially like
Don't
in
care. Not
football.
mad. Hmm.
Yeah. So, but Rome played well. There's that. Um, my issue with the Bears right now, and it's not even to the point of like the Fields Caleb debate anymore. I think that's over because I think Caleb has proven through 3 weeks he can throw. He's going to sit in that pocket. And
Yes.
I don't know the last time the Bears had a 300-yard passer. I really don't. I really don't know. Um,
Fields took 31 games to throw for 300 yards. He only did it a couple
so
times as a Bear.
so there
But
you go. So
yeah.
like very
Mhm.
rare. So you're seeing him develop throwing wise. But I know they threw the ball like 60 times almost for Caleb. But
52, I think.
I
66% completion percentage.
that's great. Yeah, that's great. I will say though, from Caleb's point of view, the first pick he had was really bad.
Yes.
The second
Right
pick we
after
just
a
mentioned,
big completion too. Yeah.
yeah, right after a great deep ball. The second pick, like we just mentioned, happens. Weird football play. Obviously, he had a fumble. But again, O line. I worry that for Caleb and the Bears right now, I worry they just changed nameplates and changed numbers, and they're the same team because to me they haven't really grown. The defense is still good. The defense is good. It
Defense
is
is
very
good.
underrated. I think people are still kind of counting them out because they're the Bears, but the defense gets turnovers. They stop the run. They play freaking hard. Sanborn had a tackle or two today.
Yes. Big goal
Along with
line
that,
stand from him,
I
actually.
know Austin
Forced
Booker
the
had a good.
interception.
I think Austin Booker had a tackle for a loss too, who we talked about earlier in the preseason. So that was big, but they're going to kill him back there. And I feel bad. DeAndre Swift, you're exactly right. I think you hit it on the nose the way they use him. It's looking at it from the Saquon comparison. Saquon went from being stuck in hell with New York to having the
Yep.
Eagles O line, and now they look like they're kind of rolling with him. But now it's the opposite for Swift. He had 1,000 yards with that Eagles O line, and now he's struggling with the Bears. So they need to shore up that O line. I'll call it the Angels draft. They needed an Angels draft this year. Where a couple years ago, the Angels had 20. There was 20 rounds in the MLB draft. They drafted 20 pitchers. They've hit on
Wow.
like 2 or 3, but you take those odds that like they're gonna have 2 or 3 that have hit, and luckily they have. But
Don't overthink it.
that's what I think the Bears unfortunately to do this draft. I don't know where their draft capital is at. I don't know where they're at, but
Oh, we
if
still have the
they
Panthers' second round pick. Don't worry.
right. So like if you get to a situation like maybe this is a situation where 3 of the 7 picks have to be on the O line. Because like
1 million
I
percent. 1
I
million
don't think
percent.
you need like I don't know how long the Keenan Allen contract is. Keenan Allen's gonna be washed. I mean, he's already hurt 2 out of the 3 games. Like this is exactly
Yeah.
what he was in San Diego. So like it doesn't really matter there. Like I'm not worried about Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's was like a luxury, I think. And Rome was like
Yeah.
a luxury. They locked up DJ. They obviously have Rome for 4 years. So I don't think I would be very upset if they went out in the first round and got a tight end or a Emeka Ibuka next year would really be upsetting because I feel like that would just be like,
Oh,
what are we
no
doing?
shot.
So like in a situation like that, build the line, go get someone from the SEC. So yeah, I think if they don't fix the line, Caleb's in trouble, the Bears are in trouble, and they're still setting themselves up for something bad to happen to Caleb in a sense of injury, in a sense of picks,
Yes.
mental, something. I mean, he's already at what? 5-6
5
turnovers
turnovers.
already. So
5.
like you don't want. I mean, it's just not a great spot for a rookie QB to be. Put a guy in a better situation. Go out next year and get some O line guys. Sign O line guys. Like that's where you're. That's where they can do it. Do I think the Bears can flip the switch and make the playoffs? Right now in the NFC, I would say it's still wide freaking open. I don't know if they'll win the division, but it's wide open to make the playoffs. Do I think they will? I don't know. But I think it's not dead yet. I think the NFC is so bad right now that it's possible, but I don't like the odds. But they need to build that line. And I think if they build that line, they are set up very well.
I agree. I think the O-line, obviously, I'd really hope Poles is smart enough to realize that. He's done a lot of good stuff, but like he signed DeAndre Swift, so I don't really get he's done some questionable things that in hindsight are bad, but he's got to take an O-line. Darnell Wright, our right tackle, is in his second year. Tevin Jenkins, I believe, is in his third year. Need to see a ton more from him. But
Right.
overall, a very young group. I don't think we're going to make the playoff. Like, I think the season's over. I truly think this is a wasted season, not because of Caleb. I am very, 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 very excited about Caleb Williams. Looks great. He is different. He is throwing it. He's getting the ball out of his hands some of the fastest in the NFL. Everyone wants to
Yeah.
say he's taking
It's gotten
sacks. Like,
faster through 3 weeks. I think he's like,
it's
it's
he
gotten
is
better every week.
improving at an incredibly high rate. He is doing a lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage. I believe in Caleb Williams a lot more than I believed in Justin Fields. That's saying a lot. I said the day the Bears drafted Justin Fields is better than the birth of my second child. I locked that in the day it was drafted. Caleb is going to get killed. I think they need to make a move now, but I also think we're not going to make the playoffs and the season is over. Not because of what I've seen from Caleb and the personnel on the field. It's what I've seen from the coaching staff. You've seen Justin Fields was a project. He is 3-0 with Mike Tomlin. Sam Darnold was dead. He is 3-0 with the Vikings and Justin Jefferson. The Raiders have won a couple of games. Now the Panthers have won a game. There are coaches in this league. LaFleur has went 2-0 with his backup. There are coaches in this game who win in spite of good quarterbacks, who win in spite of bad quarterbacks, who win when they shouldn't win. They win because of their coaching. There are other coaches, Matt Eberflus being 11-26 all time as a head coach is one of the worst records ever. He's lost us games before. I can't think of specific examples last year, but some of these timeout stuff, he called a random timeout when we caught the ball over the middle with 31 seconds left in the second quarter. We weren't able to spike it and get a field goal opportunity off. Santos missed a different field goal, but that's a different story.
Short from 56.
I know, disgusting. Horrible challenges the week before. Like, he's gotten the defense into an elite position. Like, you basically can't ask for a better defense. You need competence on offense. The biggest problem is that has been the story pre-Eberflus, pre-Caleb Williams, pre-everything. It has been the story of the Chicago Bears in my entire lifetime. So now when we've had the biggest offseason in arguably the history of the franchise, to feel all of the same things again is very, very bad. I think the panic is valid from everybody. I think it's real. I think we're dead.
Yeah, I think we talked about it months ago. I think when they drafted Caleb, and we're kind of seeing it here in a situation where they kind of went the opposite route. You know, usually a regular franchise, if they were to clean house like they did a few years back, like they hire the GM, the GM hires the coach drafts a quarterback. Like that's how life works in the NFL. It was the complete opposite. They drafted Justin Fields, they hired Matt Eberflus, and then hired Ryan Poles. The complete opposite. So
no,
I'll get into it.
Justin Fields had met other first-time head coaches, but exactly the
right
cycle is horrible.
So I'll say that, and we're gonna get into him a little after we talk about the Cowboys when we talk college ball. But I think there's a 50-50 chance that if they don't make the playoffs this year, well, this part is a 100% chance. If they don't make the playoffs this year, I think Matt Eberflus is fired. So that's a 100% chance it happens.
Has to be.
There's a 50-50 chance if they if they don't make the playoffs and Eberflus is fired, I think there's a 50-50 chance Lincoln Riley is the head coach of the Chicago Bears next year.
You did not let me know you were going to say that to me.
But I'll get into Lincoln Riley a little more. I'll get into Lincoln Riley a little more.
I'm taking. That's the scariest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
So I'll get into Lincoln Riley a little more because why I believe it's going to be 50-50 and what my reasoning is.
USC's good. Okay.
But we'll get into them later.
Terrifying.
We'll get into them later.
That's scary.
Yeah. So that's my take on the Bears, and we'll get into that when we talk about USC versus Michigan. On the other side of the pod, I'm not gonna say it I'll stop saying it when I'm proven wrong. It's Groundhog Day again. That is going to be my motto of the season. It is Groundhog Day. I think you talk about panic button. I think there's incredible panic maybe from me. I don't think there's panic from Jerry for some reason. I don't think there's panic from Mike McCarthy or somehow not the players. But there's panic from me and for competent Cowboy fans. I say it every week. I think the Cowboys get a lot of hate for no real reason from people. I think people create the "it's my year, it's our year" convo. I think that's propaganda. There hasn't been 1 year out of my 23 years of life that I've said that it's going to be our year. I've never.
You're
I've
just
said,
smart. You've believed it. You
but
just don't
that's the
say it.
thing. So maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the problem where I don't have a lot of like unintelligent football friends. Most of my friends that watch
Knowledge
football are smart
knowledge
enough.
is a burden.
Yeah,
Knowledge
but
is a burden.
most of our friends know that Dallas has never been the team to beat. They never have been, and maybe last year was a better chance. Maybe I'll definitely say that last year I believe they can maybe get to the divisional round or the championship game, but I never thought it was the year. Um, so I think that's all media propaganda, and it's hate for no reason. In all of our friends' lifetimes, like the Cowboys have never been good. They've never beaten a
You're being
rival.
very
They've
woke
never
right now.
I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth about the Cowboys. But for the Cowboys side of things, they're in big trouble. My one take I did want to die. I think I'm going to die on this hill. Is I saw after the game, it was a good fourth quarter. A good fourth quarter. 28-25 was the final. They lost, obviously, to Baltimore. Not a great finish, obviously. Not a good first half. Derrick Henry, Lamar, they kind of ran all over them. The D-line, again, issues running. My thing with the Cowboys though, and like how the team is, like I don't even know how to put it into words, but like they they like they basically like try to hope that like shit will stick to the wall and it just never does. And I think a part of the reason with the like hatred of like, oh, the Cowboys fans this, Cowboys fans this, is because I think the unintelligent Cowboys fans, they do buy what Jerry Jones says. They do buy what he sells and are like too dumb to believe it. Like everybody like on Twitter, like you'll see them being like, well, like none of this would have happened. Like we would have had Derrick Henry. We could have had better pieces in the offseason if we didn't pay Dak and CeeDee. Like nobody knows how the salary cap works that says that because it's completely
That's
false.
facts.
B, it's our own fault that we're in this situation that you're paying them 60 and 40 a year because they didn't pay them in March. If you pay them at March, he's getting 55 and CeeDee's getting 32. If you pay them at the right time, then you have that. Along with that, Trey Lance is getting $5 million to be the emergency quarterback because you have the Niners contract, while Derrick Henry wanted to be a Cowboy, said he wanted to be a Cowboy, same agent as Dak. Now he's in Baltimore. Um, it's very worrisome. I think it's very worrisome. I think the fans as a whole don't understand. The real fans as a whole don't like. I mean, I think the fake fans as a whole don't understand. I called Meg. Meg called me at halftime. We were just talking, and she's like, "How's it going?" I'm like, "Not well." And she's like, "Well, like." And she was like, "You said it. You say it every week. They're gonna lose." And but one time they have to prove me wrong. Like the average of percentages. Like I have to be wrong at some point. I do. Like statistically, I
Yeah.
have to be wrong, and I
Well, they
have
win a
been.
lot of games, so yes. I mean,
So like I have to be wrong. And this one, what I was gonna say. Oh, now I remember what I was gonna say about that fourth quarter. My hill I'll die on. This is what I was gonna say. Lost
okay.
my train of thought.
Okay.
Now I got it back. But they came back 28-25. And I read on Twitter, and I can't stand ESPN or Fox. I can't stand them. But I'm addicted to Twitter. I go on Twitter. I rage quit Twitter like 10 times in the last 24 hours, and I see them talking like, "Oh, that was garbage time stats. That was the stat. That was what they were talking about. Dak garbage time points. How is it garbage time points if you get within 28-25? How? They weren't in
No, that's not
prevent defense.
yeah.
They weren't in
Mhm.
contain. Were Tom Brady's garbage stats 20-3?
Well, they won the game.
But were they
So,
garbage stats?
no, they weren't that's a
So,
bad narrative.
so,
I agree with you.
so
I
bad
like the
narrative.
Cowboys.
Garbage stats, bad narrative. So then there's that.
Yes.
My one
Agreed.
request moving forward, maybe I'll have to do it too. Maybe I'll have to start the movement. I wish players and coaches were strict and tougher on themselves. maybe the NFL is so captivated by the problems with NFL and gambling and players gambling, which is totally valid, and they've banned them, their suspension. Maybe they have to start writing in Twitter contracts. You're not allowed on Twitter after a loss. No
That's
Twitter. No
they
social
tried to
media.
take
I
Twitter
mean,
away from Trump.
I'm seeing maybe I should be pro deleting Twitter. Maybe I should be pro nixing X. Maybe that's the stance I have to take, because seeing fucking Travion Diggs and Micah Parsons and all these players hop on Twitter and defend themselves, there's nothing to defend. Nothing. You're 1-2.
Yeah,
The defenses look like crap. And more importantly, we're wasting Brandon Aubrey's prime. We're wasting
that's
Brandon
facts.
Aubrey's prime.
He's
We're wasting his
he is a
prime.
goat.
He's insane, which we'll get to him later. But I don't really know what to say. We play New York on Thursday, which we should win, hopefully. Who knows? After they beat Cleveland, they had 8 sacks. What do I know? So there's that. But if they win that game, they're 2-2 heading into October. If you've looked at their schedule, I think they're not going to win a game for 6 weeks after that. I think they're 2-8 through 10
They got
games.
a tough
They have Philly, they have San Francisco off a bye, which San Francisco is late in that 6-game stretch because who knows, maybe CMC, Debo, those guys get back. That would screw us. You have Houston, you have Philly, you have Pittsburgh, you have Detroit. You have teams that are all 2-1, 3-0 right now. They're in big trouble. And I will say, not to say Dak has been perfect, because I don't think he has. I think the offense has stuttered at times. But
Fair.
that being said, this is the last couple of weeks haven't been the Packers game where like they gave up the touchdown, they didn't score, they gave up another touchdown, it's 14-0, and Dak threw a pick on the second drive and it's 21-0. That's a totally different situation where like Dak was part of the 21 problem. Totally different. Dak didn't have a pick this week. Dak didn't have a turnover this week. He had the ball. They had over 20 pressures on him. The O-line was abysmal. The separation rate was horrible by Cowboys wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb was pouting after the fumble.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad. There is a disciplinary situation there. And it's been like this. And again, at the top, Mike McCarthy, he wins in the regular season. He doesn't win the playoffs, but that's beside the point. In his tenure, they have been a top 5 penalized team every single season. Nothing has changed. He's been at the control. Something has to change from the discipline, or fucking Bill Belichick will be in Dallas next year.
That'd be fantastic. That's much fucking better than Lincoln Riley. Penalties are the most frustrating thing in all of sports. The Bears have been very heavily penalized lately too. I don't think Mike McCarthy is good. You have almost the opposite of the problem of the Bears. You have the quarterback figured out. You have all the pieces on offense. Like, you got an offense that's running. I was going to say the Ravens game, and I didn't tune in until like just a little bit later, but it shades of the Packers game more because of the timing. Like, it wasn't like your point was also right that Dak was part of the Packers problem, but it's all the defense. But if you're like 28-14, 28-10 even, like the Cowboys go on to win that game. Just like coming away with field goals early, like slow starts. I get very upset with the Buckeyes for having slow starts.
Yeah.
Having slow starts will kill you. So it is offense and defense. The offense is still one of the top offenses in the league. I know you're going to talk about this, but Dak Prescott standing up there and being a leader. Talk about like a franchise guy. Like Dak Prescott has had his problems. He has had stretches and games he has lost.
Sure.
15 games. He has had problems. What quarterback hasn't? There's one quarterback
that has never had problems.
Yeah, there's not one quarterback that has never had problems. There's like 2 active quarterbacks that have ever won a Super Bowl ring. Nobody's perfect. Dak is great. You lose Dan Quinn. My biggest problem with the Cowboys, they get all this hate. They've had this expectation. They haven't won shit in decades, but they still have this expectation. The burden of the star, the burden of the Buckeye.
Oh,
the burden of being a Chicago fucking Bear. The Cowboys have gotten worse and worse and worse over the last 3 years. You talked about the Cowboys have never been the team to beat. It's been the Niners. It's been the Chiefs. Those have stayed pretty consistent. The Cowboys were up there at one point. They were probably like Group B, Group 1B.
Right.
But they've extended Dak and CeeDee, which is 100% the right decision. Micah is more of a podcaster than a football player at this point. Like, I bet his stats are still good, but like this defense is not what it was 2 and 3 years ago. Trey Diggs is like, sure, he's like, fine. Micah.
Well, here's Trey Diggs. Trey Diggs has been good, I think, to be honest. I think he gave up that play on 3rd down, which was a big play, obviously, the game.
But you're not getting the turnovers and the touch.
He has one pick through 3 games.
That's pretty good.
Here's the thing with Trayvon. He's really, really grown as a player. I think
I
his
respect that.
first year he had 11 picks and he had 900 yards given up. Everybody
Yeah,
slandered him.
that
He was
was
like, "Oh yeah,
bad.
he gets the ball hawk, ball hawk." The next year he had 6 picks with like 400 yards given up, and they were like, "Oh well, now he's like an okay quarterback." He tears his ACL this year. He's been fine this year. They're not even throwing to his side of the field. Like he doesn't even get involved that much anymore. Kalen Carson, the rookie fifth rounder, who's in for Bland right now because Bland's out with a broken foot. He
Yeah.
can't tackle. He can't cover. It's bad. The safeties are bad. They're bad. The defense is bad. And I don't get it. Like the D line has still been good. I mean, maybe Jonathan Hankins was that big of a piece when they lost him. Maybe Dante Flower was that big of a piece. Something is off there. They're scheming poorly. They don't compare. And along with the game, that Packers, Saints, and Ravens game now. If the scores were the exact same and they were on the road, it sucks, but
Yeah.
whatever. Three
Yeah.
straight games, they've come into your house and fucking taken it from you right off the bat. And
They
it's
had a
20, I think it's
great yeah.
20 to, I want to say it's 20 to 10 when CD fumbles and they go on the
Mm.
score before the half and it's 27 or 28 or 20, whatever. Or I think no, it was 14-3 going into the CD fumble. They score again 21-3. It could have been 14-10 going into the half. CD fumbles, it's so many small things. It upsets me. It ruins my Sunday. They have
Sundays
to
are
beat New York.
bad.
They have to beat New York on Thursday, but it's very, very bad. They're in a very bad spot. Mike McCarthy is on a one-way train to get fired. Maybe Mike McCarthy's happy that it won't be Mike Zimmer because Mike Zimmer sucks on the defensive side, so he's not going to take his job. But Jerry's inept. The team has no fight. And here's what's going to happen. I can tell you this is how people buy back in. Thursday, if they win, they're either going to lose. They're either going to lose like a close
There's
game, or they're
no
going to win
way
by
they lose.
or they're going to win by 3 touchdowns. And stupid Cowboy fans are going to buy into this like a Fugazi team. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's not a real team. Like that was what this Ravens game was supposed to be. Like the Saints game happens every year. Last year was the Cardinals. The year before it was someone else. Like the shitty game happens. Like those happen, especially in
Yeah.
the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens. This was the game. Everybody always said last year Dak didn't win the MVP because he struggled against Buffalo, he struggled against Kansas City, and he lost a game later in the season to Philly. That's why he didn't win the MVP. He didn't win the big games. So Baltimore came in and was like, "This is a chance. Let's see it." Same story. It's Groundhog Day again. I can't believe they play on Thursday night. I need a bye so badly. And just transitioning now. I'm tired talking about them. I'm gonna rage quit. Like I had to work out today because like to get extra anger out before we recorded. But basically, I'm blessed to be a Buckeye. I'm so grateful to be a Buckeye.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
I'm so grateful to be a Buckeye. The Buckeyes are the best. I love the Buckeyes. They're fucking awesome. I'm so happy I went there. I'm so happy they're there to support me and catch me when I fall. They rock. I love them. But I'm blessed to be a Buckeye. But yeah, shifting to college. I can't talk about Cowboys or NFL. I'm sorry. I'm cutting it
It's
short on the NFL.
depressing. I think
Shifting to college. Buckeyes are back. They win again. Marshall. They take down
thank
Marshall.
fucking God.
49, thank God. 49-14. If Ohio State can play every day, that would really help me. But no, they look freaking awesome, and I'm very excited that out of conference play is over.
Thank God. I agree. It's time to play some real football. What I was going to say is the beauty of Wrong Side, our brand, what we stand for, what we believe we are intelligent sports fans who have a realistic but interesting take on these games. I don't know why the fuck we did this. We are 3 weeks into the season. We are both so fucking depressed about our teams. As real sports fans, we know we're dead. I hate this shit. It fucking sucks. I hate Sundays. The Buckeyes are the only good thing. If us and all of our friends, if the Buckeyes would win a national championship, hell will freeze over, the world will end, and it will all be worth it. The Buckeyes are great. The defense has not. I am ever the pessimist when it comes to the Buckeyes. The defense,
Let's preface here for the listeners first. Let's preface. The worst thing about being a bad NFL fan is you're upset, you get angry, you pick all the things that are wrong with the team. The D-line, the O-line, the centers, this, that, quarterback play, this. We've just laid it out for you over the last 20 minutes of our teams. The best part about being an Ohio State fan is you're so good, you get to nitpick when you're up by 40. That's
It's
the
so nice.
best part
It's my
about being an
favorite
Ohio State
thing
fan.
ever.
So,
It's my
so
favorite
that
thing ever.
I'll preface that with when we get into the game.
That's my favorite thing ever. But Jack Sawyer has looked okay. JTT has been like they've been all right. They were great, like top three last year. They were great last year, but I always thought they were
Yeah.
very bendable, very breakable. The DB room is confident. They're playing mean football. I am a big fan of our DBs. We haven't played anybody, so we'll go on to see. But like they're coming out with the energy that I like. The interior of our defense, our run defense has been a problem. It would be a problem against Georgia. Like just looking ahead, like we get to compare ourselves to the best of the best, and it is the best thing about being a Buckeye. But our linebacker play is still all right. Like again, we haven't played anybody, but we've started slow a couple times. Our linebacker play is all right. Our defensive ends, our pass rushers, and like nothing else. A couple great like batted screens and stuff. I think they're pretty good, but they're not coming out with a changed energy. The offense looks great. I'm very excited about the offense. I have nothing to say about the offense. I smile every time they step on the field. But I think I'm battening down the hatches. Conference play is starting. Michigan State this week. Childs is shifty and good. We're going to need linebackers, D linemen to
Yes.
wrap
Yeah.
him up, D linemen to contain him. Um, Conference play is here, and we have quite a stretch coming up.
Yeah, big stretch coming up. I agree. The Childs thing, I think the Michigan State O line is not great, but I think the Childs
Yeah,
shiftiness will come into play. Let's
he's a
see how the
freak. He's
linebackers are.
sick.
The linebackers have been a circled point of emphasis over the last 5, 6 years, even maybe even since the last time they were in the Natty when Tough Borland was out in coverage. But outside of that, like let's see how they spy. Let's see how Simon does. Let's see how Sonny Styles do. Like let's see them play. On the run side of things for the defense, Tyleik Williams was out for this week, and Caden Curry subbed in. He was the backup starting for this week. He gets a targeting middle of the second quarter, and then that shifts us into going to our third string. But they shut out the second half. The wide receivers have not been bad for Marshall. If you remember a few weeks back against, I think it was Virginia Tech, he had a one-handed like Odell style catch, so that was kind of crazy. But outside of that, like you mentioned how we were trailing, we were losing 7-0. We were. That is
Mm-hmm.
a you can't argue that. They drove down the field with ease that first drive, 7-0.
That's crazy to me. That is
We had a
crazy to me.
it was like a 7-minute drive, like went for it a couple times on fourth down. But that
No
being said,
fear.
we had a 2-yard run by Trevion Henderson, and then a 68-yard screen pass touchdown to Emeka Egbuka.
That was so
They're
cool.
good. They're good. The offense is good. This week, I expect them still kind of roll Michigan State. But next week, I think is going to be a fun little challenge for us. It's Iowa at home. Definitely going to be a little challenge. Yeah, the offense isn't great for Iowa. Everyone knows the Iowa story, but it's a solid defense. It's a good defense. Let's see how they play against a team like that. To be honest with you, kind of a decent tune-up heading into Oregon. Personally, I
Yeah.
think. It could have been much worse if next week was Minnesota. I think it would have been concerning to see like, oh, let's see how we are. But Iowa's not a bad test, I think, heading into Oregon. And then after Oregon, we have the bye. And then I think we have Nebraska and Purdue. And, they go on a little bit of a stretch of tougher teams.
Yeah.
Penn State is in there too. So we'll see how they do. But Ohio State's going to be fine. Let's keep winning, keep playing the ball. The best part about it is I think they also haven't really done much on offense. I don't think Chip
No,
Kelly's
I agree.
shown much.
I agree.
They've kind of ran the ball down your throat and kind of just done like slants, screen routes, nothing crazy. And like Will Howard didn't play bad this week again. He looks really good. Like,
Yep.
you know,
Comfortable.
I don't know what his problem was, but JK Joe Klatt was ripping on Ohio State the entire
Yeah.
day. I don't know what was going on. He usually loves us. And Gus looks like he hit the Ozempic a little too hard. But
Damn.
I don't know what happened there. But Buckeyes are going to be fine. Let's go out, take care of business in East Lansing this week. Night game, fun game, and keep going.
It's fun talking about the Buckeyes. It's very easy to do. Let's get it rolling. Should be an interesting conference stretch. Another game I think we all had our eyes on was USC at Michigan. I was singing USC's praises all weeks. I was very excited about them. I guess the future coach of the Chicago Bears, Lincoln Riley, Miller Moss, march into the big house, and Michigan gets right back to it and comes out with a big win for them. So I was very upset and disappointed, but it looked like a Michigan team of old, and that scares me. They did everything right.
Yeah, I think it was a good game. For anybody who doesn't know the backstory, basically of me, I wanted to go to USC. That's my dream school. My parents went there, didn't get in. Was heartbroken in the time. Best decision, best thing that could ever happen to me was getting rejected from there. Going to Ohio State, meeting everybody, living my life in Columbus. Best thing that ever happened in my life. But as much as I've forgiven and forgotten and moved on with my life, here at the Sharber household, it has not been that same way. My family hates them still. They don't like them. My mom was hoping for some sort of like Bane, Dark Knight Rises situation with the field where just both teams lose, both teams blow up.
Yes.
She what's the word? She boycotted the game by like not watching it at all. She didn't watch the game at all. Sat in her office, like did work, did shit around the house, like turned off the TV, like didn't watch with my dad and I, like just
That's
fully committed to like
crazy.
hating both of them. Didn't care who won. But for me, my takeaways from the game was this. A, it was the UFC of old. Couldn't stop the run, couldn't tackle.
Yep.
3 gigantic runs lost in the game, realistically.
Pissed me off.
B, they had some moments where they actually looked like they competed well. Much better second half than first half. The first quarter, I thought, man, they are going to get worked in this conference. The O-line was getting worked. I think I saw they had like 20 or 30 pressures
Yep.
on USC. It was like crazy number, like for a college game, especially like crazy. Like I think they like I saw that USC had like 6 pressures on Michigan, and all 3 teams combined were in double digits before. Like Arkansas State, Fresno State, Texas, like every team before them had gotten 10 plus. USC did not. Michigan completely says, let's play old school football. We're going to run it down your throat. It worked. 32 passing yards from Orgy is actually pathetic. How do you win
It's
a game like that?
crazy.
To sit on this topic of handoff machines and JJ, this is the 6th time that Michigan has won a game with less than 100 passing yards since 2016. 6th time, which is actually insane to win a football game like that. Like how, like, you know, in today's day and age, especially knowing what's coming at you. USC loses a close one. Obviously, maybe that was a fluke against LSU in the beginning, but USC's kind of got a tougher schedule left coming up. We're going to play some good Big Ten teams, not like maybe the top teams. I think they have Notre Dame later at the end of the year, which isn't Big Ten, but I think they also play Penn State, maybe Oregon this year. So kind of a tougher
Yeah.
schedule. Let's see. I was calling that if they won last week, we were going to see them in Indianapolis come December, but I think that's over now. I don't know how. I think if we're undefeated and Michigan has one loss, like or Oregon, etc. Like that's who it's going to be. So I think USC may move themselves out of the picture. My take on Lincoln Riley about being a Bears coach is
I'm scared.
I think it could happen 100%. From insider sources that I know, friends with people that are friends that are friends with or on the USC booster board. The USC booster board are starting to get sour with Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley has not played well. Lincoln Riley has not coached well enough. Lincoln Riley has not done anything in his tenure. When they hired him from Oklahoma, that was a major splash. That day was crazy. They said, you're going to use our jet. We're going to get you a $10 million house. We're going to buy out your contract at Oklahoma. We're going to pay off your house in Oklahoma. All this crazy stuff. He came in and he took Caleb with him. He did. And the best thing that Lincoln Riley has done in his time at USC is hiring D'Anton Lynn, or however you say his name. He's the new DC for USC, who's really shored up that defensive line, defensive structure, because they've been miserable with Alex Grinch and whoever they had before that. The reason I think it's going to be him is I saw a meme. I think it's true. I think he's going to be Caleb's coach, but the meme I saw was the Scooby-Doo, like pull the mask off, like let's see who's under this mask, and it was Lincoln Riley's face. Pull off Lincoln Riley, and who was lo and behold? James Franklin, another coach that can't win.
Yes. I hate James
my
Franklin.
thing with Lincoln Riley is he does not win the big game. He's never won a big game. His biggest game, I think, was the Red River a couple years ago when Caleb was a freshman at Oklahoma. He's never won a playoff game. He's never won a big game at USC. He didn't win a bowl game against Tulane or Coastal Carolina 2 years ago in the Cotton Bowl. They lost that game. Along with that, his play calling is so bad. I don't know what happened. Miller's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not that big of a step down from Caleb. I think he plays well. That drive with about 6 minutes to go, they're up 4. He goes run play, passing complete. They could have bled another 2 minutes off that clock and really made Orgy and them work. He didn't. They passed. Doesn't work. But I think he's going to be the coach. I think that Ryan Poles might believe that Caleb and him are great. Caleb had his best stats with him. Obviously recruiting is a little different. But I think Lincoln Riley is going to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears next year.
It would be a very perfect Bears hire because they've, for the record, never once fired a coach.
They both have bad play call. They both have bad play call.
So
they
the Bears
both
will feel a
can't
lot of
win big
appeal in him.
games.
Mm-hmm. A lot of very positive Bears stats, and they would be like too scared to pick another head coach. So it's like a very shallow step. Like, oh, Caleb's worked with him before. Like they would never like perfectly
for a while.
Like,
it's not like Caleb showed up to USC and he was there. He was at Oklahoma. He recruited Caleb.
He followed.
Caleb over to USC.
Yeah. I don't like
Keep
it
an
at
eye out.
all. I don't like it
Keep
at
an eye out for
all.
that one. Remember this conversation, like down the line, if the Bears don't make the playoffs, remember the conversation. Um, I don't think it's like a 100%. That's why I gave it 50-50. I think the math is there for him to be it, but I don't
It's
think the
not
other 50%.
crazy.
I think they go someone else. I hope it's not like Waldron they promote or somebody on the defense,
I'd kill
obviously. Let's
myself.
change the regime, move out if that's the situation. Looking ahead this weekend, I know the biggest game of the week, probably Georgia, Alabama, should be a fun one. It's in Tuscaloosa, right?
Yep.
In Tuscaloosa, big game for Carson Beck. Georgia struggled 2 weeks ago against Kentucky. Bama's kind of
Hmm.
been rolling. Let's see. This is Kalen DeBoer's chance to show let's kind of higher he was. Let's see how Kalen DeBoer does in this game. Let's see how Jalen Milroe plays in this game. Kirby's first matchup against Alabama without Nick Saban there. Kind of a passing of the torch last year, even though Alabama still beat them. But let's
Yep.
see how that game plays out. Definitely game of the weekend, I would say. Maybe another big one is like Penn State, Illinois, but that's just kind of like a ranked game. But
It's for Big
I
Ten
think the game,
sickos, so I'll be
yeah,
watching
Big
it
Ten goes. Game of the weekend, though, definitely Bama, Georgia.
for
Now,
sure.
before we get to outside the line, we're going to do a quick ad read and a word from our sponsor.
Our clutch moment of the week is brought to you by Shore Metals, big enough to serve you and small enough to know you. See Stan, he'll help you out. Michael, who is your clutch moment of the week?
Clutch moment of the week in the college ball aspect. We talked about Aubrey. He was going to be it. We talked about Dak, going to be a hit. I'll give a tie, actually. I'm audibling right now, a tie.
All right.
Double clutch moment. Both college ball. Running back for USC, Woody Marks. And I have not said many good words about him in the past, but Shador Sanders and
Shadir.
LaJohntay Wester. So Woody
Shadir.
Marks, huge play in the USC game, basically saved their chances at winning, I would say. Miller Moss, strip sacked, big DT number 78, don't even know his name, from Michigan, picks up ball, tries to start running. Woody Marks chases him down from behind, rips it back out from him, double turnover, first down USC, at least kept USC in the game. So shout out him, hustle play, love those kind of plays.
Valid.
Shador, they were down by a touchdown heading into the last drive. They throw the ball deep. Somebody drops it. Don't know the receiver who dropped it, but hit the guy in the chest. Would have been at the one. Drops it. Setting up a last second. They need a Hail Mary. Scrambles well. Battle line like usual. Dart to the end
He's a
zone.
gamer.
LaJohntay Wester, wide receiver, comes back, finds the ball. Touchdown. Buffs win. Send it to overtime. I'm sorry. Buffs tie. Send it to overtime. Shador touchdown in overtime. They win 38-31, beat Baylor in their first Big 12 game, but small tone deaf, storming the field.
Facts. That's facts. But also, Shadir. I
Shittier.
love
So
that.
those are my
Kid,
clutch moments of the week. How about you?
kid's a gamer. Kid's a gamer. I went a little bit of a different direction. Talked a lot of football. Had a lot of sadness. A lot of pain, misery, suffering. Pain, misery, sports going on this week. The show Avatar: The Last Airbender is my clutch moment of the week. For those of you that are unfamiliar, a former Nickelodeon show is on Netflix and various other streaming services. I saw a tweet earlier this week. It said, every once in a while, you need to rewatch The Last Airbender to keep your heart pure. And that is a perfect way to define the show. It's very wholesome, a lot of adult lessons in a kid's show. It's been my piece has been Avatar: The Last Airbender over the last week. That is my clutch moment of the week.
Love that. Need a little spice. Get everybody's blood pressure back down. Be happy. Smile. Watch Aang. Watch Appa. The whole nine
I think I'm
yards.
going to book a
So, clutch
massage.
moment of the
Different
week.
story.
Oh, Deshaun. So clutch one of the week, maybe Deshaun and Woody Marks and Shador. Now to outside the line. Now wrapping it up with outside the line and starting off with our usual segment of tone deaf person of the week. Joey, who's your tone deaf person of the week?
Well, I had a top three, and I'll pick one to specifically talk about, but my top three were the current Justin Fields versus Caleb Williams debaters. That is a tone deaf, very stupid
Super tone
argument,
deaf.
and it's making me quit Twitter. My other one is P. Diddy, which we decided that is too much to dive into. So this is a tease of our Around the World P. Diddy segment next week. But I'm going to go with Jason Tatum, the champ, the Olympian, the gold medalist. He got a tattoo on his back, a full back piece of himself holding
Oh.
the championship trophy. If that's not sliding into the skid, I don't know what is. Jason Tatum continues to be the most tone deaf person potentially on the planet. And special
do you
tease to
think
P. Diddy.
he asked to potentially get that "we did it" quote, or you think it was smart for him to remove that?
I hope his people told him to remove that, but in his original design of it, it may have had it. It would
Oh,
not have
I
surprised
see.
me.
I see.
Thank God
Damn,
he has
that's
good
so
people
tone
around
deaf.
him.
That's so tone deaf. Like I saw where the tattoo was. It kind of like is kind of like right here under his armpit. So like in a jersey, you're gonna see, I think, his head. I think you would see his head potentially on his back. So Tatum,
I hate
he's all
him.
about himself. Maybe he's a self guy now after they won.
Hmm.
For me, I had a top four because there was a lot of tone deafness. My other options that I'm not selecting were 4th and 1, QB in the shotgun, or option on 4th down, but I feel like we've hit on that one
Fact.
enough.
Oh,
ESPN bet basically threatening that Devin Singletary was shaving points and threw the game because he didn't score to hit the over in the Browns Giants game, with nobody realizing that he was doing the right thing going down the burn clock.
yep.
My other semifinalist was Taylor Swift fans discovering how football works. I read this crazy tweet basically saying that Patrick is not throwing Travis the ball because Brittany and Taylor have differing political views, and Taylor's fans believe that's why Travis having a slow start to this year, which was crazy to read. But my main tone deaf one, it's been a problem all year. We've been following it all year. You guys thought we forgot about it because football was on. We didn't. But my tone deaf is the WNBA. I'll tell you why.
We're riders.
Marketing of the WNBA and scheduling of the WNBA. Marketing.
Hmm.
The playoffs started on Sunday, first playoff matchup. There, 8 teams made it. And on Friday, the WNBA posted a picture set, like the caption was like set for the playoffs or ready to roll, whatever the caption was. And it was all the matchups with key players. So I think it was like Sabrina Ionescu and who else was in the playoffs for the team? Oh, they had Aja was on there. They had teams, Brianna Stewart. They had team players that were big in the league.
Yep.
Collier was on there. Big name players. No Caitlin Clark representing the Fever. Your biggest star, your number one asset, not in the picture. Now, shout out, it was a Buckeye subbing in for her on the board. So Mitchell, shout out to Mitchell.
Let's go.
But that being said, awful publicity. Why would you bite the hand that feeds you?
That's
WNBA.
facts. They can't get out of their own way.
Second thing, scheduling was the tone deaf part. Playoffs
Hmm.
started Sunday. I don't care how good Caitlin Clark is. I don't care how great the WNBA is. The ball is still good when you watch it. The ball is still good. Let's not say that.
Facts. That's
Especially
facts.
playoff ball.
Hmm.
No one's watching those games over college or over the NFL slate. Stupid.
Nope. Nope.
Playoffs were yesterday. They're going to be Tuesday, Wednesday. They should have started the playoffs on Tuesday. You could have gone back-to-back games Tuesday, Wednesday. There's no other sports on. It's not even playoff baseball yet. You don't even have to compete with anybody. You just can watch WNBA. That's how you go the brand. Smart decision makings. And there's no decision makers there. It's so frustrating to watch. It's so irritating to see because the sport is growing. And the crazy thing is, which I don't think a lot of people know this about the WNBA, the first round is 3 games, not 5. So there's that.
Wow.
B, it's not 1-1-1. It's 2 at home for the higher seed. If you split, you go back to the lower seed for 3. So it's
Wow.
not like you're
That's
like scheduling
insane.
it's not like you're scheduling like flights and you got to get back here and there. Like it's 2 in Connecticut and 1 in Indiana if Indiana wins tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm sorry. So pathetic, tone deaf, WNBA shooting themselves in the foot continuously.
That's ridiculous. Because you're exactly right. They have no decision makers. We want them to be big. We're the biggest WNBA podcast to
We're
my
here. We're
knowledge.
still here. We're still here.
We're watching the playoffs. Rookie of the year, Caitlin Clark looked blind in her first playoff game, but she will bounce back.
Oh, and tone deaf for somebody giving Angel Reese a 4th place vote in MVP voting. Pretty ridiculous. So
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. She's a Chicago Sky, and I'm very tired of it. It's pretty tough. Good fantasy season for me though. WNBA Dynasty League. More talk coming soon.
yes.
Right side, wrong side. Over to
Yeah, I'll
you.
wrap it up for right side, wrong side. Right side for me, I'm gonna pick 'em league where every week you pick the spreads of games, the whole league of the NFL. I've been doing this for about 2-3 years now. My buddy Matt, his family runs it. It's $180 up front, so it's about $10 a week. And there's about 18 to 20 of us per year that do it. So big money kind of goes in. But if you win 1 week, you get your money back. And last year when we played, I won 3 times during the regular season. And I think last year was only $100, so not as much. So like I won 3 times during the regular season, won $300, so $200 profit. And I won our playoff bracket challenge that we did for the NFL. So I won that another $100. So I was a $300 profit that
Let's
year.
go.
This year, $180, a little more money. It's week 3. The games have wrapped up now. Bengals got smoked. I had Washington plus 7.5, and I also had Buffalo minus 5.5. Locked up the win for me this week. My first win of the season, week 3. Best part about that for right side, getting your money back. You're back to even in week 3. Now everything for the next 15 weeks is just profit. So that's huge. So
That's
won the
nice.
pick'em this week. Super excited about that. Wrong side in the mood of gambling and winning and losing money. A lot of people laughed at me. I had Nate Daughtery who said this isn't going to hit, and I said I think we should hit it. He goes, no, I don't think we should bet it. I sent it to you. You disliked the message, and the bet was 10 to win 12.15. That's 1,215. I was talked out of throwing the bet. Everyone didn't. It was stupid. You always trust your gut. These will never hit again. It was a $12,000 or 12,000 plus 12,000 parlay, and it hit. And I didn't bet it, had no cash on it. Really would have softened the blow after the Cowboys lost, but it was Deshaun 2+ touchdowns with, first, let me just say, Deshaun, what a wild ride. He had 1 on the first play of the game and 1 right at the end to Amari, so he hits. Caleb 2+ touchdowns, who hit in the second half, which
Crazy
was crazy.
decision. I hated that pick too.
The safest pick of the bet, which almost hit in the first half, was Lamar 60+ rushing yards. I think he had like 80, so that was safe. The safest one, I thought. Adam Thielen, anytime touchdown for Carolina, because I thought Andy Dalton would hit him. Hits him, scores, next drive, hamstring pulls out, score before his hamstring pulled out. And a wild card pick, which was the first and only touchdown for them. Cam Akers, anytime touchdown, receiving touchdown for the Texans. 5-legger, 10 to win at 1,200. Nobody believed in me. Didn't bet it. Sucks.
When you see the graphic, or when you really take a look at it, maybe have a good night's sleep tonight. You'll understand how disgusting that parlay looks on paper.
And I
Cam
also had
Akers,
another one that
Adam
was
Thielen,
10. I also had
Caleb
another one that
Williams.
was, it was so free. Cam Akers was going to get every snap at running back, no Mixon or Pierce. Thielen was going to have a good quarterback that could hit him. Caleb,
Terrifying.
I believe in Caleb. Is that bad that I believe in Caleb?
Yes, you believed in the Bears.
And,
That was your
and Deshaun was against the Giants. And then along with that parlay, I had a different one that also didn't bet, 10 to win 350, that subbed out Thielen anytime for Ravens money line, and that hit too. Would have had $1,500, but I was stupid, didn't bet it, soft.
You
That was
never ask me. You said, "What do you think of this?" And I disliked it. If you asked me, I
that
would
was
have
it.
done it. Even if I
And then I
disliked
broke it
it, I
down
would have
I
done it.
broke it down for you, and you were like, no, I don't know. You said that's ridiculous. So that's
I
my
don't
right and
like
wrong
it.
side.
I don't
How
like
about
it.
you? Wrap it up.
All right. Right side lax. I love playing lax. I have my first lax game tomorrow. I joined a men's intramural league with 4 of my buddies, 2 of which are going to be out of town. Losers. First game tomorrow. Gonna lace them up. Hopefully I don't get seriously injured. That'll be
Let's
fun.
go.
Hopefully something good for the body. That's my right side. I'm very excited. Hopefully we'll see what happens. It'll be fun. Wrong side. Spent my first afternoon at the Wrigleyville Sportsbook a few blocks away from my apartment this weekend. It was a
Awesome.
very good time, very good
Stu
setup.
Feiner said it's the best establishment in Chicago.
He's got a real argument there, but there was a guy there. Him and I were at the window together. I was, putting $10 on West Virginia, which hit after a multi-hour rain delay. Well, that was pretty electric to find out. This guy's next to me. He throws about $250 or more on the Buckeyes, among other things. I ask him what the parlay is as a Buckeye fan, want to know what it is. I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. It was the over, it was the spread, it was a number of other things. He walks in with 2 duffel bags. He scares me. He was there right at open, ready. He meant business. He was terrifying. Old man, smoker voice, scary guy. Then proceeded to tell every single booth in the row facing the TVs to take Bears +1 because, all the homers will get on them by, it was Saturday, so all the homers will get on them by tomorrow. So they'll be given a point by kickoff. I really like the Bears, so I had Bears +1 thanks to that asshole. No, not 10 minutes later, we had started with a couple mimosas after a long Friday night, but not long later, we see security escort the gentleman out, and I say,
Oh.
good riddance to you, sir. So I don't know what happened to that guy, but he got escorted from the sports book. I think his Buckeye parlay hit. Bears definitely did not hit, so I bet if I go next week, I'll probably see him, but he was my wrong side guy.
Love that. Wrong. I mean, it's tough, man. Gambling's wrong side more than not. But
Maybe
that
he's
seems
our
like,
guest next week. If I see him, I'm gonna ask him to be our guest next week.
there we go. Little gambling hotspot. That's great. Wrapping up now. Thank you guys for listening. Another great week of Wrong Side. So happy to get you. Hopefully to get some interviews lined up coming forward. Kind of been a scatterbrained couple of weeks. But we're back on track now. Joey's back. Welcome back, Joey. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Hope you guys have a great day. Like, subscribe, follow us at Wrong Side Takes. Thank you guys for listening, and happy Wrong Side Wednesday.
Stay blessed.